Hello class, my name is Donna Zettler. I'd like to wish you a good Memorial Day this weekend. It's timely considering our study material. My father lost a cousin in the Korean War. This holiday is a good time for reflection on our country's sacrifices around the world. The biblical principle of liberation began in the book of Exodus when Moses declared, "Let my people go." Exodus 5:1. Moses was demanding that Pharaoh free his people so that they could fulfill their covenant with God in service of him. The Israelite people began by taking refuge from famine in Egypt, but ended up being enslaved and oppressed there. Their freedom from Egypt led to the covenant people's return to their land, as promised to them by God. Geographically, Korea is a peninsula which separates the Sea of Japan from the Yellow Sea. Politically, Korea lies in a precarious position among global superpowers. Historically, as these powers, namely China, Japan, Mongolia, and Russia, have undergone political change, Korea has found itself affected by these nations' desires for conquest and control of their land. Post-World War II, the United Nations undertook to serve the interests of Koreans by establishing a free South Korea. Political defectors from the repressive North flocked to the South as much as they were able in order to escape the ravages of communism. In time, free elections were held and the Republic of South Korea began to experience industrial growth. In the meantime, North Korea, infused with Japanese imperialism and bolstered by support from Soviet communists, began to foment attack plans on the South. The Korean War which ensued was a defense of South Korea's right to self-determination. The United Nations troops fought back wave upon wave of North Korean and Chinese troops armed by the Soviets. This defense of the South's right to peaceful self-determination falls in line with biblical principles, as it truly freed the people, giving them security and the right to live as they desired. The South was liberated from the North's communist aggression. Following the war, once again the South Korean people have worked to restore their country, while the North has continued to stagnate and suffer under despotic communism. The North has in the meantime amassed any number of destructive weapons systems, with which it threatens not only South Korea, but also the United States. This has led to various stages of action against North Korea on behalf of the UN, South Korea, and the United States. Under the present administration, much hyperbole has gone back and forth between U.S. leadership and the Kim Jong-un dictatorship, escalating tensions between the powers. Whereas certainly the United States has a self-interest in defending itself from North Korean aggression, South Korea's right to decide its own path with regard to its separated North must be paramount to policy decisions in the region. Under the leadership of democratically elected President Moon Jae-in, the South has sought talks with the North, and has even sent $8 million in aid to assist suffering women and children under the oppression of communism. They clearly view the North as separated brethren, and this must be respected. This puts into question whether sanctions against North Korea are in line with Christian moral pursuits, as this type of economic punishment will tend to adversely affect the poorest and the most vulnerable in the North the most. Further, South Korea has the most to lose, as it is the easiest target for North Korean missile strikes, which has led to protests against U.S. agitation of Kim Jong-un's regime. South Korea is requesting the right to hold arms talks with the North, and indeed it seems that plans are moving forward for formalized negotiations between the peninsular neighbors. If self-determination for South Korea remains a goal of the United Nations, then the United States should fall in line with the South's wishes and encourage a peaceful result. The type of saber-rattling which has gone on under the current U.S. administration may well endanger South Koreans. At the very least, it clearly makes them feel unsafe, and it works against what they perceive as in their self-interest. Support for Korea on behalf of the U.S. should fall in line with South Korea's desires.